The renal corpuscle consists of a tuft of capillaries, the glomerulus, surrounded by a double-walled epithelial capsule called glomerular capsule or Bowman's capsule. The internal layer or visceral layer of the capsule envelopes the capillaries of the glomerulus. The cells of the visceral layer is called podocytes. The external layer forms the outer limit of the renal corpuscle and called the parietal layer. The cells of the parietal layer are simple squamous epithelial cells. Between the two layers is the urinary space, which receives the fluid filtered through the capillary wall and the visceral layer. Look at this picture. The green circle shows one renal corpuscle. Let's look at the formation of the Bowman's capsule during the fetal development. The closed end of the proximal convoluted tubule dilated and then invaginated, surrounded the capillaries to form a renal corpuscle. Each renal corpuscle has a vascular pore where the afferent arteriole enters and the afferent arteriole leaves, and a urinary pore where the proximal convoluted tubule begins. The glomerulus derived from the afferent arteriole and drained by the afferent arteriole after entering the renal corpuscle. The afferent arteriole usually divides into 2 to 5 primary branches, each subdividing into capillaries and forming the renal glomerulus. The capillaries are fenestrated ones but lack of thin diaphragm. The cell coat is the endothelial cells contains the negatively charged proteoglycan. The afferent arterioles are thicker than the afferent ones. This is a reason of the high hydrostatic pressure in the glomerulus. In this picture, we also can see the Bowman's capsule. The visceral layer is composed of podocytes. The parietal layer is simple squamous epithelium, which continues with the proximal convoluted tubules. Between these two layers is the urinary space. This is the scanning electron micrograph of the glomerulus. G is glomerulus. At the vascular pore, the purple arrow indicates afferent arteriole. The yellow arrow indicates afferent arteriole. The former is thicker than the latter. This is the light micrograph of the nephron stained by He. The circle shows one renal corpuscle. 3 is the afferent arteriole. 4 is the afferent arteriole. The glomerular capillaries have mesangial cells adhering to their walls. The purple cell is a mesangial cell. The green one is matrix secreted by mesangial cells. Mesangial cells have receptors for angiotensin II and reduce the glomerular flow, have receptors for the natriuretic factor and increase the blood flow and the effective surface area available for filtration. Give structural support to the glomerulus. Synthesize extracellular matrix and components of basement membrane. Endocytose and dispose of immune complex molecules trapped by the glomerular basement membrane. Podocyte. Podocytes are the cells of the internal layer of Bowman's capsule. They have a cell body from which arise several primary processes. each primary process gives rise to numerous secondary processes that embrace the capillaries of the glomerulus. The secondary processes interdigitate, defining elongated spaces about 25 nanometers wide, the filtration slits, which is covered by a diaphragm or slit membrane about 6 nanometers thick. Podocytes have bundles of actin microfilaments in their cytoplasm that give them a contractile capacity. This is the scanning electron micrograph of the podocyte. We can see the cell body, primary process, and secondary process. Filtration barrier includes fenestrated endothelium, fused basal lamina, and slit membrane of the podocyte. Filtration barrier separates the urinary space and the blood in the capillaries. In the basal lamina, with the aid of electron microscope, you can distinguish a central electron dense layer and on each side a more electron-lucent layer. The filtration barrier is a selective macromolecular filter in which the laminar denser acts as a physical filter. Fenestrae act as a charge barrier. Particles greater than 10 nanometers in diameter do not radiate across the basal lamina. Substances with a molecular mass less than 70 kDa can pass across the filtration barrier. The membrane of fenestrae of the endothelium is rich in sialic acid, which is negatively charged monosaccharide, so it is easier for positively charged proteins to pass, and negatively charged proteins with a molecular mass greater than that of albumin pass across only sparingly. In the patients with diabetes or glomerulonephritis, the filtration barrier is damaged and markedly as filtering ability is reduced. It becomes much more permeable to proteins, with the subsequent release of proteins into the urine and cause protein urine edema, high blood pressure, even renal failure, uremia. Primary urine. The urinary space is the site of primary urine formation. The primary urine has chemical composition similar to that of blood plasma, but contains almost no proteins, only proteins with small molecular mass. This animation shows the process of the formation of the primary urine.